A looked me in the eye and said it was my signature on the check. I stood there shaking, realizing my own mother was rewriting history to save him. The bill sat on the kitchen counter. The total was circled in red marker, $60,000. I stared at the paper, but the numbers blurred. My brother Brody sat across from me. He wasn't looking at me. He was picking at a hangnail. My mother, Sheila, stood at the sink. She had been washing the same plate for 5 minutes. The sound of the water was too loud. I pressed my palms against the table. Cold granite. "This is a mistake," I said. My voice was raspy. Sheila turned off the water. The silence hit my ears. She turned around. Her face was stone. No emotion, just cold calculation. "There is no mistake, Declan. We saw the transaction logs." I blinked. Logs? I didn't even have access to the corporate account for the last 3 months. Brody took admin rights when he started his genius renovation project. "I didn't touch that money," I spoke slowly. Brody finally looked up. There was fear in his eyes, mixed with defiance. "Your password was used, Declan." I laughed. It was a nervous barking sound. Password. Of course. My password was password 123. Until Brody made me change it to something complex, he wrote down in the office notebook himself. The notebook that sat in the communal drawer. "Are you kidding?" I asked. "Brody, tell them." Brody shrugged. The motion set me off. "I told you not to risk it with that vendor, Declan. I warned you." The gaslighting started instantly. I felt the floor drop out. He wasn't just lying. He was building a new reality right now. "What vendor?" I shouted. "I handle logistics. You handle finance." Sheila walked to the table. She put a hand on Brody's shoulder. A protective gesture. "Don't yell at your brother," she hissed. "He tried to fix what you did." "What I did?" "You've always been irresponsible," she said. "But stealing from the family?" The words hung in the air like an axe. Stealing. They crossed the line. I pulled out my phone. I needed to show them the texts. 3 weeks ago, Brody texted me about a new contractor, about how it would be a game changer. I opened the messenger. Empty. The chat with Brody was clean. I froze. My fingers hovered over the screen. "You deleted the messages," I whispered. Brody sighed, rolling his eyes, theatrically. "Declan, we don't text. We discuss everything at the office. I don't even have that app." I looked at my mother. She was looking at me with pity. Not anger, but pity, like I was sick. "Why are you making things up, son?" she asked quietly. "We just want the money back." "I'm not making anything up." I threw my phone on the table. The screen cracked. "See?" Brody said. "He's unstable. He breaks things when he gets caught." It was a trap, perfectly planned. Brody knew the business was tanking. He needed a scapegoat, and I was the perfect target. Sheila pulled out a chair and sat. She folded her hands. "We won't call the police," she said. "For the family's reputation." "How generous," I spat. "But you will sign this." Brody slid a document toward me. It was a debt confession. I had to agree to pay $2,000 a month for 3 years, plus forfeit my share of the business. "I'm not signing that." "Then we go to Dad," Brody said. Dad was in the hospital. Cardiology. Any stress could kill him. They knew that. It was their trump card. "You wouldn't dare," I said. "We'll tell him you bankrupted us," Sheila said calmly. "Or we tell him you took responsibility and are fixing the mistake. The choice is yours, Declan." Blackmail. Pure and simple. They were using Dad's life as leverage. "You're monsters," I said. "We're realists," Brody replied. "Sign it, or Dad finds out tonight." The pen shook in my hand. I stared at the paper. The words swam. "I, Declan, admit." Each letter was a nail in my coffin. If I signed, I admitted guilt. If I didn't, I might kill Dad. Brody tapped his finger on the table. "I don't have much time," he said. "I have a meeting." "A meeting?" I looked up. "With our money?" "With company money," he corrected. "Which I'm trying to save after your failure." I signed. The handwriting was crooked, alien. I dropped the pen. It rolled across the table and fell to the floor. "Happy?" Sheila took the paper. She checked the signature. She folded the sheet neatly. "We're disappointed, Declan. We expected better from you. Now leave. Leave the office keys on the table. I was kicked out of the house I grew up in, kicked out of the business I built for 5 years. I walked outside, the sun was bright, but I felt cold. A week passed. I sat in my apartment. The lights were off. I hadn't eaten in 2 days. The phone rang nonstop. It wasn't my parents. It was mutual friends, colleagues. Declan, I heard what happened. How could you? Give the money back. Sheila and Brody didn't just take my share. They destroyed my reputation. They told everyone. The version where I'm a thief and an addict. Yes, an addict. It explained where the money went. I got a notification from the bank. My personal card was declined. Sheila was a co-signer on the account we opened 10 years ago. She drained it. Towards the debt, read the text from her. They left me with nothing. No job, no friends, no money. I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling. I wanted to just disappear. But then I remembered one detail. A small detail. The backup server. Brody took my admin rights for the cloud and bank accounts, but he forgot about the old physical server in the office basement. We installed it 3 years ago, for local backups of security cameras and internal email. It wasn't connected to the main network directly. If Brody was sloppy with passwords, he might have forgotten this too. I had to get into the office, but I had no keys, and there was an alarm. I called the only person who might help. The old security guard, Mr. Henderson. He knew me since I was a baby. Mr. Henderson, I need to get my personal things, at night, to avoid the family. He paused. I heard bad things about you, Declan. It's a lie. Give me 10 minutes. If I steal even a paperclip, call the cops. A long pause. Midnight. Back door. At midnight sharp, the door clicked. I slipped inside. The smell of old coffee and paper. The office felt alien. On Brody's desk stood a new expensive lamp. Leather chair. He was spending the budget fast. I went down to the basement. The server room hummed. Green lights blinked in the dark. I prayed the local admin password hadn't been changed. I entered the old code. Access granted. I exhaled. Now I needed to find the deleted emails. The local archive saved everything, even cloud deletions until overwritten. That took 30 days. It had been 3 weeks. I scanned the folders. Inbox. Sent. Deleted. There it was, a folder with that vendor's name. Inside wasn't a supply contract. It was an invoice for consulting services, and the recipient was a shell company. I opened the attachment. The director of the shell company, Vanessa Miller, Brody's girlfriend. I copied everything to a flash drive. Security footage from the day I supposedly made the transfer. The video showed Brody sitting in my office. The time matched the bank logs. I had everything. Proof of theft. Proof of the setup. I was about to leave when the basement lights turned on. I turned around. Brody stood in the doorway. He was holding a baseball bat. He didn't look surprised. He looked tired. Henderson called Mom, he said. Sorry, Declan. The old man is loyal to whoever signs the checks. I gripped the flash drive in my pocket. You transferred the money to Vanessa, I said. I saw the invoices. Brody smirked. He took a step forward. Give it, or I say you attacked me. Another charge, Declan. You won't like prison. I measured the distance. 3 meters between us. Behind him, the stairs. In the corner, a fire exit, but it was alarmed. You won't hit me, I said. You're a coward, Brody. Always have been. I don't need to hit you. He raised his phone. 911 is on the way. Breaking and entering. At that moment, Sheila's voice came from upstairs. Brody, don't do anything stupid. She came down the stairs. Hair perfect, even at night. Mom, he stole data, Brody shouted. Mom, he's a thief, I yelled. He funneled money to Vanessa's company. Look for yourself. I pulled out the drive. Sheila stopped. She looked at Brody, then at me. Something flickered in her eyes. Doubt? No. Calculation. Give me that, Declan. She held out her hand. We'll handle this at home. No, I stepped back. If I give this up, it disappears. Just like my money. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Time was up. Sheila's voice turned to steel. If the police find that on you, they'll think you're stealing corporate secrets. That's a federal crime. Let them look, I yelled. The truth is on there. The truth, Brody said quietly, is that Vanessa is our approved consultant. I backdated the contract yesterday. Your evidence is worthless. I froze. He anticipated this. Of course, he covered his tracks. But the video, I started. Video of me working in your office? Brody shrugged. I was looking for documents you lost. They had me surrounded. Logic, lies, paperwork. I was trapped. The sirens were at the building. Run out the back, Sheila said suddenly. I stared at her. What? Run. Leave the drive and run. I'll stall the police. I'll say it was a false alarm. It was the moment of truth. She offered freedom in exchange for the evidence. If I left, I remained the thief to the family. But I wouldn't go to jail tonight. If I stayed, I risked everything. Looked at the drive, then at my mother. She wasn't protecting me. She was protecting Brody from a scandal. An arrest of either of us would destroy the business completely. I placed the drive on the floor. You know what he did, I told Sheila. You know the truth. Go, Declan. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I pushed the fire exit bar. The alarm screamed in my ear, but I was already running into the dark alley. I heard the police car skid to a stop at the front entrance. I ran until my lungs burned. I stopped in a park, hiding behind trees. I was free, but I had lost. Or so I thought. Until I reached into my other pocket. My phone was in my pocket. The voice recorder had been running for 40 minutes. I turned it on before entering the office. A habit from a paranoid past. I pressed stop and scrubbed through the recording. The sound was muffled but clear. Brody's voice. I backdated the contract yesterday. Sheila's voice. Leave the drive. I'll stall the police. They confessed. To document fraud, to obstruction of justice, to conspiracy. It was better than video. It was a verbal admission. I sat on the bench. My hands shook, but now from the adrenaline of victory. I could go to the police, but that would kill Dad. I promised myself I wouldn't. So I did something worse. I sent the audio file to the company's main investor, Uncle Marcus, a man who hated lies more than losses. In the morning my phone buzzed. A text from Uncle Marcus. One word. Done. An hour later Sheila called. I didn't answer. Brody called. Ignore. Then a notification came through. Brody was removed as CEO. An external auditor was appointed. I stared at the screen, sipping cheap coffee. I didn't get my job back. I didn't get my parents back. They would never forgive me for airing dirty laundry. But I got my name back. Uncle Marcus wired me a sum equal to my debt. As a bonus for integrity and asset protection, I blocked my mother's number. I blocked Brody's number. I stood up and threw my old SIM card into the trash. I was the scapegoat my whole life, but today I became a ghost, and it was the best role I ever played. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel, like it, and click on the bell so you don't miss any more stories.